We're going to talk about the rebound, but first I want to talk about the journey, because Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, has said that as a travel company, the pandemic felt like being hit by a torpedo. What did it feel like as a fashion company when you wondered if women were ever going to leave the house again?
Well, I knew they would leave the house again, but you have complete uncertainty as to when. So it was really a fight to save this business I've dedicated the last 13 years of my life to and built alongside a team of thousands of people who have also committed their hearts and their lives. So it really felt like we were immediately going into a fight mode. And that kind of led to us being unbelievably decisive very quickly. By the time we got to April, we were actually able to shift gears and focus on who do we want to be coming out of COVID, and how do we prepare the business to come out of this financially stronger and strategically stronger. So I'm really glad that we made all of the decisions that we needed to in March to ensure that we had the financial runway to make it no matter how long COVID lasted.
So talk to us about fight mode and those decisions. I know there were some layoffs and budget cuts and store closures, and how did you make those decisions to get to where you are now?
I mean, I was making decisions, probably dozens of decisions per day. And it was really about shoring up our balance sheet. It was making sure we were cutting anything in the business that we knew wouldn't be a priority over COVID. So we cut 51% of our OPEX, our CAPEX, our inventory expenses. We shifted our inventory model from one where we purchased inventory into one where we partnered with our 700 brands on a rev share model. So we really developed and accelerated our platform. And then we did have to make some very difficult people decisions, because the cuts we made in other areas of the business, we didn't think that would be enough to give us the desired financial runway that we knew we needed. We really believed that COVID would last for a very long time. And so we were trying to find runway for multiple years.
So now you say that business is rebounding faster than expected. What are women doing right now? What trends are you seeing? What do they want to wear?
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing is unbelievable. I've been in this industry for over a decade, and I have not seen anything like this. So, from our perspective, our business is up 100% to where it was in our COVID low, and that continues to accelerate day over day. We're seeing dramatic acceleration of geographic diversity of our customer base. We're seeing completely new use cases of why they're using Rent the Runway. So they're really renting for those kind of everyday moments in their life to amp up. So they're amping up a dinner. They're going out to brunch with their family. They're seeing their girlfriends again, and they want to feel incredible about themselves. It's really this philosophy of carpe diem that we're seeing come out, where people are appreciating their lives in a completely different way. We're also seeing that double the amount of customers versus 2019 are saying that the reason why they're signing up for a subscription to Rent the Runway is because they want to consume more sustainably. So we're seeing a real value shift happen, which I think is going to be the greatest accelerant that the economy has ever seen to the experience economy. As you know, Rent the Runway is based on the thesis that experiences and access are more important than ownership. And so I think that our data is really a great foreshadowing of what I think is going to be the biggest growth period ever for businesses and industries that provide an experience to their customers. So I'm very bullish on hospitality, entertainment, travel, live events, things that enable you to connect with your community. And at the end of the day, Rent the Runway is an experience.
Now, you're also getting into the resale market, which allows you to buy some of this secondhand stuff that, women love to rent from Rent the Runway. I'm curious how big a market you think that can be, as I know you're preparing for a potential IPO.
So we saw something really interesting at the beginning of COVID, which is that our resale business doubled. So we've always offered our subscribers the ability to buy clothing that they fell in love with. And overnight, we saw that women were very interested in buying more secondhand clothing from us. So because we had conviction that coming out of the pandemic, that the secondhand economy would be even bigger than it ever was before, we wanted to position Rent the Runway as being the only global platform that enabled the customer to have the flexibility to rent, buy, or subscribe. So we see this as providing that flexibility to the customer. For us, the resale business really increases the funnel of new customers into our business. You no longer just have to have an upcoming
Okay.
event or want to have a subscription to fashion to now come to Rent the Runway.
So speaking of new joiners, actress Gwyneth Paltrow recently joined the board. How did you get her, and what does she bring to the table?
Well, in terms of what she brings to the table, she is just a massive consumer visionary, and I think has been one of the very best at marrying content and commerce. I've known Gwyneth for over a decade as we've been building our businesses at the same time, and we just had developed a friendship. And we really think that we're seeing in our data that the world that we're entering into in 2021 is not some continuation of 2019. We are literally entering into a world where the customer has completely different values. So we wanted to bring on board, someone who thinks about that all day, every day, like Gwyneth. So we're really proud to welcome her.
So quickly, Jen, are you still planning on an IPO this year?
Well, I read the report yesterday in Bloomberg, which was fun. you know, I I feel really appreciative that we're at a point where we're talking about our business being up 100% from that COVID low and our daily subscription numbers being back to or ahead of where they were in 2019. We are just building a long-term sustainable company, and we're going to continue to make the best decisions for that long term of Rent the Runway. So nothing is off limits.